What happens when the brightest lights on a grand stage suddenly fade, and one quiet, deeply human moment takes their place? That was exactly what unfolded on a night meant to celebrate awards, fame, and applause. Instead, it became something far more unforgettable. No one was prepared for that pause. In a space designed for polished speeches and measured applause, the moment arrived without warning. There was no cue, no announcement, no build-up. Just a brief silence, and then a gesture that felt instinctive rather than planned. That is precisely why it stayed. When Shukai stepped forward, the atmosphere subtly shifted. The crowd sensed it before they understood it. This was not a highlight engineered for attention, but a response guided by emotion. The stage, once distant and formal, suddenly felt close, almost intimate. What makes a moment unforgettable is not its scale, but its honesty. This one lingered because it did not try to impress. It arrived quietly, unsettled expectations, and left behind a feeling rather than a conclusion. Long after the lights dimmed, viewers remembered not what was said, but what was felt. Many public gestures look similar on the surface, yet feel entirely different at the core. This embrace stood apart because it carried no urgency to explain itself. It did not seek validation, nor did it attempt to guide interpretation. It simply existed. What viewers noticed were the unpolished details. A brief hesitation softened posture, a moment of stillness that resisted spectacle. These subtleties signaled sincerity. The absence of exaggeration allowed space for meaning to emerge naturally. In a media environment where emotions are often amplified for effect, restraint can feel startling. This was not a performance shaped by expectation, but a response shaped by presence. That distinction matters. People trust what appears unguarded. Rather than telling the audience how to feel, the moment invited them to observe. And in observing, many recognize something familiar, the quiet comfort of being seen without explanation. There is a long-standing belief that public figures must remain composed, especially under scrutiny. Yet the most compelling strength is often revealed when composure loosens. Vulnerability, when genuine, does not diminish authority. It deepens it. This moment challenged the idea that emotional restraint is the highest form of professionalism. Instead, it suggested that emotional honesty can coexist with dignity. There was no loss of control, only a willingness to remain open. Audiences responded because vulnerability signals trust. It says, I am not performing resilience, I am experiencing reality. That honesty creates connection, particularly in a world where many feel pressure to appear unaffected. Strength, in this context, was not about endurance or dominance. It was about presence. The ability to remain emotionally available under bright lights reframed vulnerability not as exposure, but as quiet confidence. If one half of the moment was emotional release, the other was emotional steadiness. Songyun did not command attention through movement or words. Her power lay in composure. She stood calmly, without drawing focus away or shrinking into the background. That balance resonated. It reflected a form of strength that does not require assertion, only presence. Viewers described her demeanour as grounding, a counterpoint to the surrounding intensity. Quiet power often goes unnoticed, yet it anchors emotional moments. It allows others to feel safe enough to be open. In this case, her stillness communicated reassurance more clearly than any gesture could. Rather than symbolizing fragility, her presence represented stability. It reminded audiences that emotional strength is not always expressed through action, but through the ability to hold space without needing to fill it. What unfolded on that stage hinted at something larger than individual emotion. It reflected a shift in how success is defined. For years, visibility and achievement dominated the narrative of public life. Here, however, meaning outweighed momentum. Viewers responded not because of status, but because of alignment with personal values, care, respect, and emotional responsibility. The moment suggested that achievement does not need to eclipse humanity. This shift resonates across cultures and generations. Many people are re-evaluating what progress looks like, seeking balance rather than constant acceleration. The scene echoed that desire. By allowing a personal moment to exist alongside professional recognition, the message was subtle yet clear. Fulfillment is multidimensional. Fame may open doors, but it is connection that gives experiences lasting weight. Traditional celebrity narratives often rely on extremes, either flawless perfection or dramatic downfall. This moment offered a quieter alternative. It presented a figure who did not need to explain himself or manage perception in real time. Instead of reinforcing distance, it narrowed the gap between public and private selves. That narrowing felt refreshing. It suggested that authenticity does not require oversharing, only coherence between feeling and action. Audiences today are increasingly drawn to narratives that feel sustainable rather than sensational. This scene aligned with that shift. It did not escalate tension. It resolved it gently. By resisting spectacle, the moment redefined visibility. It showed that relevance can be maintained without constant amplification. Sometimes understatement is what allows a story to endure. People were moved not because they understood every implication, but because they recognized the emotion. The moment did not demand interpretation. It allowed each viewer to bring their own experiences into it. Many saw reflections of their own lives, unspoken support, quiet reassurance, the comfort of being acknowledged without explanation. That universality transcended language and culture. Importantly, the scene did not rush to conclusion. It left space for contemplation. In doing so, it respected the audience's emotional intelligence. What lingers is not certainty, but warmth. Not answers, but resonance. In an age of rapid consumption, moments that encourage stillness stand out. That is why this one travelled so far and stayed so long in people's minds. Sometimes, the most powerful scenes are not rehearsed. They are lived. And sometimes, one quiet embrace can speak louder than 1,000 carefully chosen words. Thank you for watching and sharing this moment with us. If you appreciate thoughtful stories that explore the human side of showbiz, please subscribe to LVT-SHOWBIZ, like this video, and stay with us for more carefully crafted stories that go beyond the headlines. Until next time. Keep watching, keep feeling, and thank you for being here.